What's going on? Thanks for checking in. Today we're diving into the rehab side of things. We're working with our in-house physical therapist, Dr. Sydney Franco. We're gonna take a deep dive into ACLs, how to prevent them, what to do when you have the surgery, and what is life like after that process in returning to sport. So if you're an athlete, experienced some knee issues, knee pain, or even had a knee surgery, this is one you're not going to want to miss. Make sure you stay tuned. Check this one out.
Hi guys, my name is Dr. Sydney Franco. I'm a physical therapist and athletic trainer. Today we're specifically looking at the ACL, and we're working with one of our athletes, Sierra Romero, to get her story and her take on what it took to recover from that. We're specifically talking about ACLs today because they're such a common injury in softball players, but also across the board with all female athletes. Most of the time, ACL injuries are non-contact and can occur when you're making a quick, rapid lateral movement to get a ball and the cleat gets stuck in the ground and then you're rotating across it or over it. Other mechanics that put your ACL at risk are landing, jumping, and pivoting. Anterior cruciate ligament injuries account for 50% or more of all knee injuries, making this ligament especially important in any discussion of knee injuries. So you might be wondering why we're talking ACL injuries. Well, they're one of the most common injuries in softball. So let's find out a little bit more about them. So let's take a look at the knee. Let's get an overview. So here you have the femur, you have the tibia, you have the fibula, and then you also have the patella over top. So on the outside you have the LCL, the lateral collateral ligament. On the inside you have the MCL, the medial collateral ligament. Right here is the anterior cruciate ligament, so the ACL, the ligament that we've been really focusing on, and then behind it we have the posterior cruciate ligament going behind that ACL. So these ligaments are really important because each of them have a specific role in stabilizing the knee. We have the ligaments on the outside that help prevent varus and valgus forces, and the ligaments on the inside of the knee, the anterior ACL and the PCL, they prevent rotation and also anterior and posterior translation of that knee. So now that we have an overview of the knee, let's go in now and talk to one of the athletes that plays softball and has suffered an ACL injury, Sierra Romero.
So in 2019, I tore my ACL. Nobody hit me. I didn't run into anyone. I was going from second to home, and the play was at home, and the catcher did obstruct. However, instead of taking her out, I decided to try to kind of pivot and step to my right to get out of the way to hook slide. Many of you in baseball, softball know we tend to sometimes do a hook slide to get out of the way to miss the tag of the catcher. So when I did that, it was a very last minute movement, an agility movement, and I stepped on my with my left foot down on my left leg, and that was when my knee gave out. So again, it was non-contact. Nobody actually hit me. I stepped aggressively in full sprint to change direction, and that was when the knee gave out. After MRI and getting all of that done, it turns out it was a complete ACL tear, and then I had a medial meniscus tear, and then I needed a slight cleanup on the lateral meniscus. So luckily the lateral meniscus didn't need to be repaired. It was just a cleanup. The medial meniscus had to be completely repaired, almost lost because of how severely torn it was. And then my ACL had to be completely redone, and I pulled from my quad. So that's why my scar is here up top above my kneecap. So we pulled from my quad muscle to put in a new ACL. For me, the recovery took about 3 years. I had a lot of issues during my recovery process. I developed what's called arthrofibrosis. So my body makes up a lot of scar tissue when it's hurt, which I didn't realize at the time, but I should have known from a prior shoulder injury that I had, that my body, that's kind of its defense mechanism when I get hurt, is it builds up a lot of scar tissue too fast, which for me was a negative effect because it caused me to not be able to have any mobility in my knee. So I was going into PT doing all the things I needed to do, but what we didn't realize was my body was fighting against all the work that I was doing and building up all of this scar tissue. So that really held me back. And then after surgery, I ended up needing to go back in for a manipulation. And after the manipulation, I ended up having another MRI because I was just hanging out one day and I was in a ton of pain just sitting on my couch. And so for me, I didn't know if it was the mental side that comes with ACL injury that everyone talks about, or if I was actually in pain. I wasn't really sure which one it was. I was either being a baby or I was actually hurting and I just didn't know what was going on. So I asked my surgeon for an MRI, more so for peace of mind, hoping that I was wrong and nothing else was wrong with my knee. Turns out I had a cyclops lesion which was basically something kind of stuck inside my kneecap, and it was kind of big, so that's why I wasn't able to get fully extended. So we ended up having to go in for a third procedure to have that removed, so that way I could have some more mobility and actually start my recovery process.
So right here you can see that this is where they went in to get that quad tendon for the repair and the graft of the ACL, and then these are also some of her incisions and scars from her MCL and meniscus repairs. These are also some of the ports that they used to kind of go in when they were doing this procedure. Do you have any pain around the surgical incisions?
No, just that like weird feeling.
That weird sensation.
The weird sensation when you touch it.
Do you have any limitations or issues now when you're doing any exercise, or if you like get the warm up extra good or anything like that?
I wouldn't say limitations. I really just can feel that my right leg is significantly stronger in some aspects. I do feel like the left doesn't fatigue as fast as the right, but I think that that's been something that since injury I've been constantly having to work through, just always trying to get that to even out with the right.
Right, not just after surgery and rehab and everything, but now continuously.
Even now, yeah.
Okay.
I don't ever want this one to be like at 50, this one's at almost 100 or at 100. Like I need them to be very close. I don't want them to be too far off because I know that that's how you hurt the other knee.
Right, so for your and your knee, the best thing we can do right now is just really work on that single leg strength stability and how we can build from here to keep you balanced. So 100% each limb feeling really confident on that left side. So not so much like more like a maintenance and like a general knee health, but really specifically focusing on this left side to keep it equal and even to that right side. Okay, so the first one that we're gonna do is we're gonna start up on the plate. So your left foot's gonna be down, holding onto that kettlebell like in front of you. You're gonna do a reverse lunge down, tap that knee, then come back up. Why we're gonna do this one is we're gonna get deep into that knee flexion, and we're also gonna be able to kind of get into a little bit of hip extension and loading onto that single leg, onto that left leg.
You want my left leg here?
Yep, okay. So that one's gonna start on top of the plate, and then a large step back, go down, tap down, good, and then drive back up. Good.
Reset.
Good. Once you do 2 or 3, no more resetting in between. Try and continuously do it without tapping back. So really challenging that single leg stability. Good. Nice job.
Here.
So the goal of this is when you're doing these type of exercises, single leg, you want them to feel equal and kind of get the sense that they both feel just as strong as they should, versus like, oh, my right side's my dominant side versus my left side. So like always leading with that left, really focusing on that left side being that strong side is important.
Probably doesn't help that Summers killed my legs yesterday, but we're gonna push through this.
So the first one that we're gonna do is we're gonna do a depth drop, but once we land, we're gonna go into like the acceleration going vertical. So here, land, then jump up and come back and absorb. So for this one, we wanna work on absorbing that force, decelerating, and then back into that acceleration back up. Good, so what we're looking for here is landing equally. So obviously one leg kind of has an advantage being over. You want them both to catch up, both land at the same time, and then be able to absorb force and then transfer it vertically. Good, nice job. Then let's go to the, single. So the single, don't worry about that vertical jump up, just focus on landing and absorbing. Think about kind of sitting into it a little bit more too. Good, but left side.
Oh, yeah, shit. I would immediately walk to the right leg.
There you go, good, nice job. So a lot of times after injury, you're always gonna go to your strong side, AKA your right side, but we wanna like retrain that because we want you always leading with that left because that will make you feel like it's the more dominant one, and then you won't kind of compensate on that side.
Okay.
Nice job. Now I'm sweating. We're just gonna do a Bulgarian. So main focus is front foot, kind of heel to midfoot. I'm gonna start with it up here like a chop to my right, and I'm gonna come down to my left. Where I should be feeling this is my glute, so I wanna be loading into it as I'm kind of getting that closed chain hip internal and external rotation. Okay? Good. There you go. Good, nice job. So you should feel this more like in that glute, and when you come down, you want to feel that stretch all the way through. There you go, good. How's that?
I felt in my quad too, is that okay?
Okay, so shift that weight mid-foot to heel. So don't go so far forward. We want more of that like neutral to almost like negative shin angle in a sense.
Okay.
And think about driving with that glute. So down, rotate through. Yep, and then even rotate a little bit more, so come down. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, okay.
Feel like stretch at that bottom. Oh, there it is. Good. There you go. And so this one's also gonna work glutes, core, and also a really good one for rotational kind of warm up, rotational exercise, and for like hitting.
Whew.
Nice job.
Wow.
Okay, last one. I'm not gonna even lie, the last one's really spicy. Yeah.
That one was spicy. It got my glutes fired up.
It was hard to pick an exercise that was like general, but like not a strength exercise, because I'm like, you know, I can do like a split squat.
Such a good game day primer, because like when he writes up my workouts for game day, it's like just things to get those
Rotations,
fast twitch
loading
muscles,
into it.
like
yeah.
all that stuff.
And you can change that around too. Like you can go fast, you can like load down fast and come back up. You can like hop with it,
Well,
you
what's
can add
nice too
so
is
much.
if I just go a little bit forward,
Yeah.
it was hitting quad.
Quad, yeah.
If I just lean back a little more heel, it was hitting on glute.
Glute, and you got that rotation
Yeah.
into it, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna be over here. This one's an advanced hamstring one, but why I love it is because obviously one hip and one leg is going into like a hamstring curl, and the other one's gonna be up into flexion. So similar to like if we're driving forward like this, but we're gonna be on the ground. So single leg's gonna be here on the glider. Other leg is gonna be up at that 90-90 position. I'm gonna have it banded, so pulling it that way, you're gonna be up like this. So single leg hamstring curl on the glider, all the way out, nice and controlled, curl back, keeping the butt up the whole time. But this one's gonna have that resistance, so you have to keep that flexion.
Okay.
Okay.
This is where it may not be pretty, so we may need a couple takes. Hold on. This is the one he's always yelling at me at, because I can never keep my hips high.
The cue is keep that toe up, because you don't want that, because you want to drive up, you want like anterior tib fired up, you want that quad fired, and you want that hip flexor fired. So here, there you go. The risk, good, nice job. Okay, so why this single leg hamstring curl is so important is because it's working on that posterior chain, working on that hamstring. Perfect, and done. Really working out deceleration ability of that femur and of that tibia. So also, you can vary it. So there's a lot of things that you can vary with all of these exercises, but with this one specifically, you can add some velocity to it, so you can change the speed and you can change the intensity. Okay guys, so just an overview. These exercises really were specific for Sierra and where she's at after her ACL journey. So she has a lot of great strength, foundation, and base. So this is kind of taking where she's at and just trying to build on top of that. So really specific for Sierra. Because how long has it been since your ACL?
4 years, so 2019 I tore it.
Okay, and she's been working really diligently with Summers at Summers Method, working on strength and conditioning and building that really strong foundation. So these are just some extra things to get her that much better, that much more even and equal. Okay, so how are some ways that we can prevent this or really kind of keep these knees healthy? So one of the biggest things is practicing proper technique and form, creating a balance between muscle groups, so not having an imbalance, creating a balance between strength and flexibility, and then also having good nutrition and also good sleep habits. So that's why I love working with Summers Method, and he's done a wonderful job with Sierra when he was developing her strength and conditioning program specifically for her.
Yeah, when Sierra came in, she was about 2 years or so into her process and into her recovery process. But when we tested her out, we used the VALD system, so all our force plates in that. She had a massive asymmetry on right versus left. So how I took that is, hey, we have to build up her single leg strength, and specifically is the eccentric single leg strength. I like to say in here, hey, what good's a Ferrari without brakes? So we did a lot of split squats with a very slow descent, so 5 seconds on the way down, go to that full range of motion and let that knee go over the toe sometimes and then press up out of that. So we were just focused on force absorption, not really force production for the first like half of her rehabilitation process. But what do I know about that? I just know, hey, we got to get strong with those eccentric moves, and it turned out to be exactly what she needed. So once we built those asymmetries closer together, then we could start producing more force, and now she's producing it the right way, not relying on right versus left. So from my experience, right, what's better than rehab? It's, you know, people throw around the term prehab, but the best prehab is just a good strength and conditioning program, like Dr. Sydney said. Learn to get strong in those main fundamental movements, really make that single leg strength your priority, Hey, so hopefully you enjoyed that video. If you want more videos on, soreness or injury based with Dr. Sidney Franco, go ahead, write that in the description below. Could be anything, shoulder, elbow, back, etc. We plan on putting out some videos here in the future. And always remember that we're pumping out weekly content on this channel, so do me a favor and subscribe. Also, if you want to train with the same exact program Sierra and all our big-time Power 5 softball players are using, girls all across the country, go ahead, click the link in the description. You can start a 7-day free trial for the 32 Approach F. And if you want to work directly with Dr. Sidney Franco in-house at our Performance Center in Clearwater, go ahead, shoot her an email right here. Appreciate you as always. Catch you next week. Game rewards the grind. It knows how much you invested.